You were the
Where are you
biggest
going with
cheerleader
this?
for how his
Where are
mental
you going?
acuity. Hold on, I'm going to show you.
You're like going all over the place.
You
Go
were the
ahead, go ahead.
biggest cheerleader for Joe Biden, as if he was you. Terry, you didn't know that Biden wasn't in his right mind for the 4 years. You're full of shit.
All right, guys, I got a good one for you today. This is Piers Morgan with a big panel, including everyone's favorite TikToker, Harry Sisson, Vinny from PBD, Sean Spicer, and James Carville. They're talking about basically how Trump disappeared for the weekend, and they're all speculating about his health and his health decline and all that good stuff. So this is just a good discussion. I'm going to jump right into this. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below.
All right, Harry Sissons, the reality of this is that for a very long time, the Democrat supporters, the Biden White House, the liberal skewed mainstream media all presided over a mass cover-up of Joe Biden's actual health, which then came to light afterwards. Is this just a case of, well, you stuck it to us about our guy, we're going to stick it to you about your guy, even if there's very little substance for it?
No, I don't necessarily think it's that. I think it's a combination of things. I think that, folks like myself who supported President Biden just remember how people like Sean Spicer on this panel treated President Biden during his 4 years about his health. We don't forget that. We are remembering that. And it's just interesting to see someone like Sean hold a completely different standard. If Biden disappeared for a week, regardless of a holiday weekend, if he had bruises on his hands, swollen ankles, he's walking weird, he has this weird clips where he can't even identify the president of Finland who's sitting in front of him. I imagine that Sean would be on your show calling for Biden to do a press conference right now for medical records to be released. But since it's Donald Trump, well, Sean says, well, it's a holiday weekend. He's off. The guy who says he works 24/7, he's taking, he's taking a holiday weekend off, and he's just, he's playing golf. So I just find the double standard to be remarkable, but the facts remain. There are significant concerns surrounding Donald Trump's health. And I'm also really happy to hear people on this panel like you, Piers, and Sean saying that the medical records produced by doctors from Walter Reed are reliable, because Joe Biden had a physical all 4 years of his presidency from doctors at Walter Reed, neurologists included, who'd conducted these examinations. And in every single report, he had a clean bill of health. There was no concerning medication.
How was it then?
No, nothing.
See, this is the thing that gets me. So I don't care who the president is. I think the doctors, regardless, will hide the records or hide the case because, at the end of the day, it's powerful politicians basically saying, hey, you need to not talk about this. You need to shut up about this. We know where you live. So they're going to, obviously, no matter who the president is, they're not going to come out and be like, oh, the president's mentally ill. The president's incapable. But what we see the difference between Trump and Biden, Trump has never been in good physical health. I don't think anybody's championing him as like peak male physique. Like, he eats fast food like it's his job. He drinks like 500 Diet Cokes a day. He is overweight. We're all willing to admit that, I think, for the most part. Swelling in his legs doesn't affect his brain. Bruising on his hands doesn't affect his brain. It doesn't affect his decision making. If he was in a wheelchair, it still wouldn't affect his decision making. That's the biggest thing when it comes to a president, is their brain, their mental capacity. And as of right now, Trump is for 79 years old, he is still mentally sharp. And Harry wants to say there's a double standard here. He literally defended everything Biden ever did all the time. And if he still wanted Biden to be president, even after that debate where he got blasted and destroyed, even MSNBC and CNN said he did bad. Harry still said Biden destroyed Trump in that debate. That's how brainwashed he is. And now he's going to try to call out the other side and be like, oh, well, they're being hypocritical. Bro, you're the biggest hypocrite on the planet. And if Biden was president right now and Biden was still stumbling around and Biden couldn't complete a sentence or a thought and had handlers pull him everywhere, you would still be defending him. And that's another thing too. Trump, they'll sit there and say, who's in charge of the country? And then they'll sit there and say Trump's decision making is bad. So is Trump's making the decisions or someone else? Like, you can't imply both. Like, when it came to everything Biden did, most of us conservatives knew it was probably someone else pulling the strings. Like, and what happened with Biden, honestly, that was elder abuse more than anything. His family going up there and just acting like he's fine. His closest friends acting like he's fine when he clearly is lost. He's mentally gone. He was mentally checked out. And even that investigation into him, I forget what the investigation was. The guy said that they can't even put him on trial or investigate him or anything because he's too mentally gone. But apparently he's mentally fit to be president. Makes no sense at all. So I don't think it's a fair comparison. Now, 3 years is a long time. Trump could be a different man 3 years from now in 2028. But as of right now, he's mentally fine.
Okay, but Harry, how was it then if they were being completely honest that the moment he was out of office, he revealed he had advanced cancer?
Well, Piers, I mean, the type of cancer that President Biden has is notoriously in the United States and around the world one of the most fatal for men. The reason being not because it can't be treated, but because it's incredibly hard to detect. That's why it's often caught at stage 3 and stage 4, as it was for President Biden.
But it's not hard to detect until the President of the United States having regular full medical.
Pierce.
But it's not. It's not.
Cancer affects every person the same way and in different ways.
So you're saying
President Biden is not a super.
Joe Biden, the moment he was out of office, announces he has quite advanced aggressive cancer. But your argument is that right to that point, nobody in his medical team would have had any ability to reveal it.
Yes, Piers, because prostate cancer is incredibly hard to detect. You can fact check me if you want. You can look this up. That's why it's one of the top 5 killers of men in the United States in regards to cancer. And just think about what you're arguing for here when you're saying something like this. Is the claim that Joe Biden had cancer when he was in the Oval Office and they just hid it? They didn't provide him treatment. They let him die just so he can stay in. Really? I mean, you really think that okay. I mean, now we're on like QAnon level.
They hid his obvious onset of dementia.
Guys,
so why not?
We're going QAnon level conspiracy here.
Really?
When you think that Joe Biden had cancer, he knew he had cancer, his family had cancer, his family, who, by the way, have suffered a tremendous amount of loss through their life, right? This family who has suffered greatly, you think that they're going to let their Joe Biden just suffer with cancer and not try to get treatment, not try to do chemotherapy
you're talking about the same family who allowed him to continue.
Piers,
well, hang on. You're talking about the same family who allowed Joe Biden in that last year of his presidency to end up on a debate stage when they all knew he would humiliate himself.
Yeah, that's a great point. So Harry tries to play this victim card like, oh, his family has suffered so much. Yes, Joe Biden lost his wife when they were pretty young and his daughter. And then he lost his son, I think later in life, to cancer. That is sad. And no one's talking crap on him for it. That's sad. But it doesn't mean you don't get to criticize the dude ever for anything he ever does. And it doesn't mean you don't get to criticize his administration for covering things up. They either already knew about that cancer diagnosis way in advance and hid it, or his doctors didn't look for it, which if you're the president of the United States and you're not getting the best treatment and not getting everything spotted, there's an issue there. So I personally think they just hid that fact, because it's funny because when it came out that he did have cancer, it was right around the same time that I think Trump was about to investigate him for something. It just happened to be like around the same time that conveniently that came out. And it's like obviously a cover, because like when Hunter Biden ever got in trouble for anything under the Biden administration, he got like indicted, he got charged. Conveniently a day or two later, Trump was getting an indictment. Something was going against Trump. It was always around the same time. You guys can look back on it. It's always around the same time. The Biden campaign, administration, people around, whatever you want to call it, are very good distraction. They've always been really good distraction. And so, I think they probably knew about the cancer diagnosis. Maybe it's too far gone where he can't do much about it. And they were like, just keep being president. Like, just keep in that spot. Because at the end of the day, the people around him used Joe Biden as a puppet. Like I said, it was elder abuse. They all just wanted to hold on to power, including Jill Biden. She was up there. She was so excited to be the first lady. She was up there leading cabinet meetings and leading speeches and acting like Joe Biden was like her elderly dad. And it was disgusting. And I think if you're blind to that, there's something really wrong with you.
Pretty well capable from a political perspective of doing anything, even if it made him look terrible. Let me bring in Vinny. Vinny, look, there is a bit of schadenfreude here. The Democrats are clearly going to make hay while the sun shines about Trump's health, because, of course, everyone did that with Biden for years. So I've got no problem with Trump's health being scrutinized. I think it's perfectly reasonable. But all this stuff about, Trump's dead and all these things trending and so on, when he's literally out there playing golf. I played golf yesterday, and you cannot play golf if you're dead. You can't play golf if you're seriously ill, actually, because it's a more arduous sport than people think. You have to walk 4 or 5 miles, or you get in a cart and you have to walk around and play shots and so on. You can't really do that if you're seriously ill.
Oh, 100%. Piers, I just want to say before I start, Thank you for having me on. As always, it's always a pleasure. I saw you on vacation. I see your tan. You look sexy. Like, Piers, you look like the international man of mystery.
I
heard
am
they're casting for
bursting with good
007.
health.
They should consider getting you. But that aside, it just makes me laugh. Sitting here listening to people like Harry, and all due respect, James, and like, Harry, we know who you are, bro. We know exactly who you are. You're a shill for the left. You were glazing for Biden for all those years. All of a sudden, they wouldn't lie. They wouldn't lie. His son isn't a crackhead. The cocaine in the White House is this. You were the biggest cheerleader for how his mental acuity. Hold on, I'm going to show you.
You're like going all over the place.
You were the biggest cheerleader for Joe Biden, as if he was Harry. You didn't know that Biden wasn't in his right mind for the 4 years? You're full of shit. You know it. We know it. You're a shill for the left. You get paid to do what you do. You're a paid propagandist. Number one.
See,
number two, Piers.
I think it's just funny that Piers asked you an entirely different question and you just started going after me.
Harry, you had your chance. Harry, do me a favor.
Talk about bad health. This guy looks like a tomato right now, dude. He looks like 90 years old. He looks like as red as a tomato.
Let me say my point.
This guy's on fire right now.
My point is this, Piers. The left would want nothing more than Trump to be gone. They would celebrate. If he died and had a heart attack, they'd be in the streets parading because Hitler's dead. Let's not play pretend, okay, Piers? And guess what? These guys, just like Harry, ran cover for Biden. You want to talk about the family didn't know? He was falling up and down stairs, shaking hands with people that weren't there. Secret Service said he pooped in his pants in front of the freaking Pope. So don't give me that crap. Okay, let's just be honest, Piers. Let's be honest. Donald Trump, it's not a secret. He drinks Diet Coke. He eats Big Macs. He's not in great shape. But you know what is in great shape? The United States of America, Piers. We are back.
Wow, what a
we are
spin.
kicking
Holy
ass.
shit,
Go ahead,
what a
name
spin.
it. The
Holy
border.
fuck.
Hey, Harry.
Look,
Harry,
Piers just laughed because Piers
do
just
me a
laughed
favor.
because he recognizes
Harry,
this
do me a
crazy
favor.
spin right now.
Harry,
oh my God. Even
Harry,
Sean
you
is
are
laughing.
a walking
Sean is like, what is
meme.
going on?
Harry, you're a walking meme.
Come on, man. Go
You're
ahead.
a walking
Go
meme.
ahead. Keep
So
going.
everybody
Keep
that's at home, go on any social media, put Harry Sisson. You're a joke. You're a walking hypocrite.
Okay, well, look,
You're fake as hell.
Look,
Okay, look,
I
let me just hang on, Harry. I want to ask James. I mean, look,
You're a
there's no
joke.
look. The fact we're talking now, we're half an hour.
He said you're a walking meme. Yeah, so I do think that there's definitely a different mindset with the country when it comes to Trump versus Biden. I think Biden, no one thought he was in charge. No one thought he was making the decisions. No one thought anything about him. I think other world leaders played along, but in reality, they knew, he wasn't in charge. Because in reality, say you're like the leader of Japan, and you're going to sit there and you're like, oh, yeah, Biden didn't do anything. His handlers took care of everything. Then America's like, okay, we're not helping you anymore with anything you need. You can lose a lot from being against America. And so I think they all played along. I think Trump definitely asserts more authority. I think Trump, he's making the decisions. And I think even on a global scale, the world reacts when Trump makes decisions. I think all the tariffs have proven firsthand that that's how that works. And countries and the European Union, everyone's been rushing to make deals so they don't get hit with these tariffs. And because at the end of the day, people talk about our economy. The whole world's economy revolves around our economy. If our economy is doing bad, the world's economy does bad. So they want their economies to do good, which means they want America's economy to do good. So I think the tariffs and everything will be good going forward. I think it's going to be it's going to take a little bit of time. I think some companies are stubborn. But Donald Trump is in charge. And I think that's what's been proven lately, especially from the left, is all these paid people are being exposed for promoting leftist propaganda. There's just a story by Taylor Renz a few days ago about it. Harry has been proven to be paid by DNC before, same with his buddy Chris Mowry. And they're never going to say anything bad about the Democratic Party. That's the thing when it comes to these influencers. Like, if they never say anything bad about their own political party or people in their political party ever, they're either brainwashed in a cult or they're being paid to promote those things. Like, I have a pretty good following on TikTok. I lean conservative on my views. If you haven't been able to tell from my YouTube videos, I still will criticize Trump if it's needed. I still criticize Republicans if it's needed, because most Republicans are useless. There's only like a few that are good. So I will not hesitate. I think that's healthy. I think you should criticize your own party when you're blindly just following along like Harry would be right now. If Biden got a second term, he would still be acting like Biden's in perfect health right now. In reality, Biden would disappear 4 days a week, every single week. He never did press conferences. He never did interviews. He never communicated with the American people. And then Donald Trump goes, 3 days without doing a press conference, and they all freak out as if the world's ending. But with Biden, it was nothing. I think that's a good thing Vinny pointed out there.
Past the time, 30 minutes past the time that this press conference was supposed to start, which in itself is a bit weird. But, this may all be absolutely nothing, James Carville. But why it's serious, I think, is that as this is all unfurling, all this gossiping about Trump's health and so on, you've got Putin with Xi and Modi all getting together. There's a new kind of world order that's happening right in front of our eyes. So actually, the health of the President of the United States is pretty vital right now. What do you make of what is happening with those three?
What's happening is at the turn of this century, it was believed incorrectly that the United States was the most dominant nation vis-a-vis the rest of the world since ancient Rome. Well, that's not the case anymore. Trump has no idea what he's doing. He actually thought he was going to get some kind of deal from Putin. Of course he didn't. Of course, we have China, 1.4 billion people, India, 1.4 billion people, and Putin doing photo ops. What a catastrophe. And all these motor mouths do is the left, and the left, and this and that. I don't know if this dude knows who I am, talking about me covering up for Biden.
Yeah.
Are they really trying to say that Putin and Xi and India didn't do that stuff before Trump? Like, Putin literally invaded Ukraine under Biden. He also invaded Ukraine in 2014 under Obama. Xi has always been somewhat of an enemy to the United States. Xi and Putin for years now have been working together and talking and communicating. That's not a weird thing. It's not crazy. And the only thing recent with India is because India keeps supplying fuel and oil to Russia, which allows Russia to continue the war and continue attacking Ukraine. So what happened was when Russia first invaded Ukraine, Biden put all these sanctions, and the Biden administration put all these sanctions against Russia, basically trying to deplete them. A lot of American companies pulled out of Russia, trying to deplete their resources, all that stuff. Belarus helped Russia when it came to invading Ukraine. So all those sanctions went against Belarus too for helping Russia. India is helping Russia by supplying them oil. So if this was the Biden administration, they would be putting sanctions on India, or I would at least hope. Maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. But they should be if you want this stuff to end. If you want Russia to be defeated and you want to deplete their resources, you need to put sanctions on them. And the other countries like Germany, up until I think recently, are still buying oil from Russia, even though it's the dumbest thing with wars like this is that the European Union will give money for weapons to Ukraine, and then they'll buy oil from Russia because their green energy stuff isn't enough to supply their whole country yet, but they want to cut off oil. So they're funding both sides, basically what I'm saying. So Trump tried the negotiation route with Putin, and it didn't work. Putin's stubborn. I don't think Trump expected that. He's tried negotiating with Putin and Zelensky, both sides, tried negotiating both sides. I think he still is to this day because he wants this to end. He's the only one pointing out that there's thousands of innocent soldiers dying every month because of this war. Everyone's just thinking of it as, oh, Putin's laughing at Trump. Oh, Putin's doing this, that. Thousands of people are dying. Trump's the only one pointing that out. Innocent troops that are being forced to battle against their will. There's only videos of people trying to flee Ukraine and they catch them at the border and force them into battle. It's disgusting. He's the only one pointing that out. And I think it's good that he's being tough on India because, you need to. If you want to cut off supply of Russia, if you want Russia to lose or you want Russia to stop, you need to do that. So for them criticizing that, I think it's just beyond stupid.
Look,
You're the guy that has Trump derangement syndrome. The country's not doing great, James? James, is the country in shambles? Does the country respect? Are we on the world stage respected finally? You don't know. I don't need to know who you are. You look. Listen to. By the way,
this guy with the red tomato face has like an IQ of 5. You have no political perspective.
No, you. The Democratic Party,
no political beliefs.
The Democratic Piers, I have to say this. Why is the Democratic Party at a 35-year low of approval? It's because of people like you and Harry.
Yeah.
Okay,
You know
Your
you don't have to
party
scream,
sucks.
right? We
you
can
guys
hear
stand
you.
on nothing.
Oh my God.
The party sucks.
Oh, my
'cause your
God.
party
Wait.
sucks, Harry.
Just to be
You
clear.
guys are the
Just to be
reason
clear throughout.
the party's in
Yeah. Okay.
shambles.
Go ahead. Get it out. Get the anger out. I got it. I
Yeah.
understand you're very
Your
heated right
party's
now.
on-
Just
Yo,
to be clear,
Harry,
throughout this
Harry,
like 20.
why'd you guys?
Are you
why-
still going?
Why is
Are
the
you still
party?
okay? Go ahead.
Why is your
Everybody
party
let
at
him
an
have his
all-time
temper
low?
tantrum.
Why is your
Let him have his
approval
temper
rating
tantrum.
low?
I mean,
Why-
look, there is a
Explain
valid,
that to
me.
Harry, there is a valid question there. The Democrats
I
have
agree.
never
Can I-
historically
can I
been this
answer
unpopular.
it?
Yeah, you can,
When's
James.
the
Yeah.
last time a Democrat's lost an election
Yeah.
since Trump been president? May I answer it? Did you watch? The Democrats are overperforming by over 15 points. We're on for a bet in Virginia. I'm spotting you 5 points. You're going to lose, Piers. You're going to lose bad.
I've
All of
already
these
ordered
motor
my
mouths-
steak
Okay.
when
Let
you
me
lose,
finish.
James.
Okay. All these motor mouths,
Yeah.
you're getting ready to get stomped.
Okay.
You're going to get stomped in Virginia. You're going
Okay.
to get stomped in New Jersey, and you're going to get
This
stomped.
guy
Yeah,
is
but James,
on it.
See, this is the thing where it comes to the one problem the right does have when it comes to Republicans and elections, stuff like that, is a lot of people on the right only vote when Trump's name's on the ballot. So, like in 2022, when that red wave was supposed to happen, a lot of people didn't vote because Trump's name was on the ballot. So then Republicans barely got the House, didn't get the Senate. And a lot of these special elections, this judge got elected here or this and that in a small area, you probably don't know about it. So I don't think that's that big a deal. Now, the governor's race in Virginia will probably go to the Democrat, which is really interesting because one thing when it was Trump versus Kamala was that if you vote against Kamala, you're racist because she's black and Indian, right? Or you're sexist. In Virginia right now, the Democrat's a white woman and the Republican is the current lieutenant governor of the state and is a black migrant woman who's a Marine. So if Republicans want to go to that level, they could be like, you guys are racist for not voting against the black woman or for voting against the black woman who's a migrant, who's a Marine. That sounds like the perfect person for the left to vote for, but they're voting against her for the white woman. Funny how that works out, right? I think she also could be a little better campaign. Maybe in a debate, it'll be a little better. So polling might get higher. I don't know. We'll see. New Jersey, I don't know what's going on in New Jersey with the election, what he's talking about. But there are, I think Republicans and conservatives need to be more aware of elections that don't revolve around Trump going forward, especially in 2026 with the midterms.
James, just hang on. On that point,
bet's on,
hang on, guys. James,
The bet's up.
but James, there is no doubt that the polling shows the Democrat Party has never been so unpopular. That is a fact.
What do you look at? Polls or election returns? So we have
come
deemed
on.
ourselves that election returns no longer matter in the United States. We're just going to talk about polls. Look at every election. Look at what's getting ready to happen. Harry, you take it from here. These you can handle these people.
No, James,
Yeah.
if there's anybody here that can really dispose of these freaks, it's you. But I appreciate the honor. I just had to say that.
Am I one of the
wait,
freaks?
freak.
Am I one of the freaks?
No, Piers, you're not one of the freaks. I like you, Piers. I like you. We have good conversations. This guy over here who looks like a tomato
Freak.
actually looks like he's about to explode right now. I mean, this guy is on fire. He's raging. Throughout the
Harry,
20-minute, look at him. He's going to do it again.
Harry.
He's going to do it again. Look,
Harry,
throughout the
aren't you
entire
the guy-
20-minute conversation
aren't you the guy
we've
that
had
was
so far
asking
on your
11
show,
girls?
Piers, he
Didn't
has
11
not
girls come
outlined a
forward
single
and say that
political
you were
belief. He has
coercing
not
them to
outlined
send
a
nude
single
photos?
political belief.
That's Harry
go ahead.
Sisson.
Go ahead.
Harry, you're the guy that was coercing 11 girls to send you nudes on Snapchat. Wasn't that you?
Wait.
Wasn't that
Oh,
you
no,
allegedly
no,
in the news?
no,
Was that
no,
you in the
no,
news?
it wasn't. No,
You're
it
the
wasn't me,
champion for
actually.
women.
It wasn't me,
You're
actually.
the
It
champion
wasn't
for
me,
women.
actually.
You're a
Because
scumbag.
yeah.
You're a scumbag, Harry.
Do you want to keep
You're a
raging right now?
scumbag.
Look at you.
You're a scumbag.
Your face has
Everybody
turned
knows who
colors
you are.
since you've got
Everybody
onto
knows
this show,
who
by
you
the
are.
way. Your face has
Yeah,
changed
I just got
colors.
back from vacation too.
No,
Just
you're
got back from
screaming. There's
vacation.
like
You have
veins
no
popping
substance.
out of your
and
face.
do me a favor.
Oh my
Hey,
God.
Harry. Hey, Harry and James.
ahead.
Who's going to be your front runner for 2028? Who's your front runner? Gavin
you're still-
Newsom
listen,
or
you-
Pete
you re-
Buttigieg? Who's going to run? Kamala? You
You
both said
recognize-
Kamala was
All
going
right,
to
should
win.
we try and
You
get
You
recognize-
both said Kamala
Shall we
was
try
going
and
to
get
win.
recognize
things back
you
on a more
don't have
even
to
kill?
scream.
Let me bring in
you
Sean again. Let me bring in Sean again.
Jeez Louise.
So I think I like Vinny. I like how his passion, but I think he definitely gets a little too emotional sometimes, especially when it comes to topics like this. It is funny seeing him like yell at Harry, but I think I think he got a little too emotional there. The yelling, the screaming, I think he needs to calm down a little bit. And I think if it's a little annoying with Piers Morgan debates, it's like there's like a little bit of a delay. So it sounds like they're all talking over each other because they're both like, it takes a few seconds for them to hear what someone says and they'll go speak and then the other person will speak. And that can be really annoying. But they make a good point where Piers says that Democratic Party is more unpopular than ever. I think their approval rating is like 17% or something. It's really extremely low. And they still have no leadership. They have no message. And James Carville could point out these special elections all he wants. But in reality, if conservatives actually just voted in elections that didn't involve Trump, conservatives would win. That's the issue. They just don't vote in them. And that's something that needs to be done. It's not that all of a sudden these areas are sick of the Republicans. They want to go back to Democrat. It's that those Republican voters aren't showing up. That's the issue. And I think in the Democratic Party, like I said, has no message. Their only message right now is anti-Trump. Like right now, Trump has proven that the National Guard being in DC has brought crime down, less murders. Like I think there was like 14 straight days of no murders. That's crazy in DC. And now he wants to like help other cities out. And all these like mayors and governors are like, no, this is so bad. And they're acting like their cities are so safe while the deaths keep happening every single day there. And it's like, you're literally showing, Trump is getting you to prove that you're on the side of crime and safety more than crime, more on the side of crime than the side of safety. He's getting you to prove that. And that's insane that they're going that far to be anti-Trump. They don't have a message. It's just opposite of Trump. They don't have solutions. They don't have anything. And as long as they keep going like that, they're not going to get anywhere. I think they're going to keep losing. So that's pretty much it for this video. It's I recommend watching the full thing. I'll put a link to it in the description down below. It's funny. Yeah, I just don't like all these attacks. You cannot take people like Harry Sisson serious when it comes to attacks on Donald Trump's health how he acted with Biden. Like if he was calling out Biden's health and then he's calling out Trump's health, I would respect it. You're being unbiased. You're showing that you can see things with a clear eye, but that's not how it is. He would still be defending Biden today if Biden was president. Like for me, Biden was a zombie. He was like living dead. You know, he was barely there. Trump definitely has some physical issues. I'm not going to deny that. His ankle swelling, hand bruising, sure. He's not peak health. I've said that, but his brain still works. His brain is still there making decisions. That's the most important thing when it comes to a president. And then also, the VP this time is a lot better than Kamala Harris. JD Vance has some issues in his own, but he's younger than Kamala Harris. He completes thoughts. He can make decisions. He can think for himself, unlike Kamala Harris, which is why she lost. So like I said, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think of the Piers Morgan debate, what you guys think of Trump's health, everything going on in the world. And I'll catch you next time.